pumps and in living rooms and in boardrooms for the last few years. A subject which couldn't be discussed 10 years ago is now common parlance. So we're looking to gather these citizens' opinions. We know that you're not going to agree with everything you hear. Not possible. It's too polarized. But we do want you to respect our panelists and the time that they've devoted to this subject and listen to what they have to say. Write down any notes that you have or questions that you have, and we will ask them in an organized fashion at the end. Other public input about solutions and possible paths that we might take are essentially political in nature and must be submitted through the website. We hope, as Armand said, that we generate other interest and perhaps other events that are more solution-oriented. But today we're talking about impacts. So, time being short and the subject being long, I would like to introduce our District Attorney, Meredith Lintott, to lead off with whatever viewpoints she may have from her term in office as to how it's going in Mendocino County. I'm not going to be more specific than that because I know that she has better information than I have. And at about 90 seconds before your segment is up, I will ask you to make some predictive remarks as to the trends that you see from your perspective as an elected official in law enforcement in the county and where you think we are headed. Meredith Lintott.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much, Hal, for including me on this panel. Hal did send us a series of questions that he thought might help lead the discussion, but as you've heard, he also gave me the opportunity to discuss with you some of my thoughts on the impacts of marijuana in our county. My original thought, as our first introductory speaker told all of us, was that we were going to look at impacts on the youth. And while my opinions are simply that, my opinions, that is something that is of great concern to me. They may not be necessarily politically correct opinions in this county, but it's something I'd like to take a chance to discuss. When we read cases, I've not only seen juveniles involved in the drug case, in the drug trade with marijuana coming before the court, where they're tending, selling, dealing, and involved in the drug trade before they're even 18. I've also had the opportunity to review and learn about cases where the marijuana is stored underneath the young children's beds, where they can't have their friends over for fear that their parents will be discovered, where the children, maybe by teenage years, they don't put the shotgun in their hand perhaps when they're 10, but maybe by 13, part of their job for the family business is to guard the garden. Oftentimes, children are left unattended while the parents are tending their gardens. I understand a lot of people will disagree, but I'm here to tell you that this is in fact what I've seen. That is no way for children in our county to grow up. It is no way for children to only be able to have interactions with only growers' children for fear of being found out. To grow up in an atmosphere of fear should not be the way our children grow up. And sadly, many are growing up in that type of atmosphere. That's a real concern to me. They're also being placed at risk because home invasion robberies, you see them in the paper almost daily. And I think Tom might have some real good opinions on this. That's only a partial slice, a partial photograph of what's going on, because typically, if we've got people stealing from one another, they don't want to report it. So that's some of my concern. What I've seen, I've got college-age kids. Actually, I now have a college graduate working in her first job. With their group, they appear, when I hear back from them, they're sort of divided, just like our county is, about where they stand on marijuana. Some kids are against it, some are for it. That's what I've heard. So that's an informal type of thing coming from the young people, because that's just one group of kids. So, but that's some of the information I've had. The other information I've seen over the years prior to even being district attorney were the situations where the children are growing up believing that marijuana is in fact legal. just like many of the people that come from outside our county, outside from different states and different countries, they have been under the impression that marijuana is legal. They go off to college, they're great kids, they're talented, they've managed to get their grades and get their life together in college, but they need money. So what do? They go off to college and they sell marijuana, not understanding that other counties consider young people selling marijuana to be drug dealers. They truly don't even understand that. So I feel like we're limiting the choices and the careers for our young people when they can make good money without having to think about the future when they're older and maybe they don't feel as well and they don't have the strength and they don't want to be placed in danger's way. So I see that as a real loss for our young people. And again, I realize this is not popular with a good segment of the community, but my heart goes out to the kids and some of the wrong impressions they're given and the lost opportunities that they have. With that, that was my soapbox. So moving on, some of the things that Hal, he asked some very good questions that, you know, put me a little bit on the hot spot, which is fine. I think that that is what this event is about. It's about getting facts out. It's about having this discussion with the community. He was wondering about departmental priorities. As you know, we had Measure G, which made marijuana prosecution the lowest priority.